hello there. I was just doing a little bit of reading and now you're here. It's a good time for a break and we can have a chat. What about just the usual? And since you've just dropped in on the spur of the moment, I haven't got anything prepared. I'm just going to talk about what's been happening recently and see what happens. Put it on 2.0 if you're going to persevere. So be prepared to be very disappointed yet again. What's been going on with regards to Summer Moon Utah Wells, who was missing from Tennessee? Well, the shitstorm goes on. We have Donald Wells trying to redeem himself, I guess you could say, by appearing on a channel who only last week was probably bashing him. And the channel is Sure and Mr. Sure, but it's really Voices Beyond the Wall or Behind the Wall. You know, this is actually some sort of really dark, mentally ill, creepy, sick, conspiracy theorist sort of channel. Having said conspiracy theorist channel, I will just in full transparency say, well, you know, the more I see about this, the more I'm believing in the pilot wheel. So Don appears on this channel to be interviewed because he's going to, you know, put everything straight, you know, fix all the things that Chris McDonough fucked up for him, right? And Chasing Truth is there. This was a shock to me that Tracy was there. I'm just going to take it that she was there for Summer. Okay, she's not there for Sure and Mr. Sure, who is Prairie Boys 77. I can't believe that because I think Chasing Truth, I don't watch her much and I don't always agree with her, but when I watch her, you know, you're just talking with, or, you know, someone who is talking to you is a intelligent, thoughtful person with her own world view forged through experience and smarts and learning, you know. So I'm putting her appearance down to, curiosity, to hear from Don, you know, to be directly involved, to be able to possibly pose a question or two, and to be doing this all for Summer Wells, okay? Because that was a shock. Because of, you know, who Cher and Mr. Cher are. Yeah, because isn't it funny, you know, birds of a feather flock together. It's partly why I'll say, look, I'm an independent. It's not because, okay, it might be partly because it's hard to trust people or to really know people, but it's also because, you know, it's not only that I might want to change my mind or just be able to be free to express myself and my opinions, and that they might, that they're going to change from time to time, but also I don't want to tar people with my brush. I don't want people to be linked with me in any way, you know, any creator, not that they might want to, but, you know, because I am divisive and I'm not pleasant and, you know, so the only reason I can think for tracing, I nearly said Tracy Truth, but she's Tracy from Chasing Truth is she's there for Summer Wells. And Don Wells is clearly there for Don Wells. He's there just telling everybody how sad and unhappy he is and how he always knew that Summer was going to be gone. She was going to be gone. And, you know, reason being, of course, that he's been leaving the raising of his daughter, you know, his most precious possession, the one that loves him, to a wife that didn't want her. And he's such a cruel asshole of a man, this person, isn't he, Don Wells? Because, you know, he's always so backhanded and cunty. Rather than saying, you know, my wife has been a wonderful mother to Summer. It was hard for her at first, it really was, but she has drawn on strength daily to develop a relationship with our daughter, and for that I'm truly thankful for her, and it makes me love my wife more and more for what she's done to be a mother to our daughter. I love that she cares for my daughter so well when I'm off at work, because I can't be there all the time. I'm working to put, you know, squalor in this hovel, and you know, I've always been frightened something's going to happen, but oh no, I shouldn't be frightened, because I'm leaving my daughter with someone who had 2 children taken away from her already when I met her, because she was abusing them. And she's abusing drugs and alcohol. This could be to do with the fight, flight, fright, freeze model. I mean, you know, I always want to go to fright. Fright has a lot to do with it, but, you know, this power threat model, you know, she's checked out most of the time. I mean, heavens only knows how many times she's passed out in our bed when me and the kids retire. But, you know, he's always telling everybody how Summer never wanted her. It's got to be so hard for Candace to hear. How many things every day are hard for Candace to hear and to bear? And did she just snap, you know? Because how to get at Don? Well, through his most precious possession, Summer. Yeah, so the more Don speaks, the more you have to believe in the unholy trinity, and it's just working out who, where, when, what, how, you know, what did happen to Summer and who took her away out of the 3. Now, it's got to be hard on Candy Hara, yes, because she did lose Rosemarie, the rose between 2 thorns, and I think the reason why she can't hang around and support her daughter, you'd think that she'd have, even though it would be the most painful thing, is to have this brought back. I think when someone is missing and you don't know what's happened, that is harder. It is harder for Candy, and I think she knows it's harder because she knows her daughter knows. So she's just going to get out of there. She can't be around for this shit show, right? Her part's been played. And if Summer was genuinely missing, she would have that empathy and that strength to support Candace Bly. But she knows Candace Bly is processing something entirely different. Candy knows Candace is processing death. That's what I believe. I don't want to wish Summer dead, because of course she might be alive, and she may have been trafficked, as in not just, you know, illegal trade in something about her over and over again while she's existing within her little family unit. No, you know, I'm meaning sold in finality. It still doesn't mean that she was kept alive after this happened. Who might have had something to do with that? Well, maybe Don then, right? But let's face it, all 3 of these people, they know all the drug dealers, they would know traffickers, they would know how to make anything happen. They know how to procure, and they know how to sell. This is who they are. You know, if there are people, regular, you know, white bread straight people out there in YouTube's land watching this true crime mystery unfold in horror and in despair, well, and you're struggling to see how things could happen. You think this is all sort of some sort of fantasy, that even this little hillbilly family, it's not these sort of people that make it happen, is it? Wouldn't it just be the mafia and these very rich people and such? No, you need to understand about what people are exposed to during their lifetime in certain cultures, right? Yeah, I can tell you, you know, you see a thing or two when you're in certain worlds, right? And Candace may never have processed what happened. I mean, she lost a girl and a boy, I believe. And her daughter, I think, may have been 6 months old only. She didn't want another girl. I think we can believe that to be true, that she really was frightened to have Summer, maybe for how she was going to feel, and maybe this is part of the rejection of Summer, or that difficulty in bonding, you know, a postpartum situation. But maybe because she just, every part of her emotional being rejected Summer, you know, out of fear and out of jealousy, or fear for what Don might do, or fear that Don's going to love this child. And this is what's happened. And you can see this in some photos, especially the slightly older ones, more of a dynamic there when everyone's faces are a little more open and everyone's a bit happier, and Summer's healthier. But you can see the way Candace is looking at Don, and then, very, very dark dynamics. So many decades of pain and damage with, you know, every generation suffering, and who's taking the brunt. You know, I still believe, I don't know what to think, apart from I know that this unholy trinity, as I call them, and I don't mean to be blasphemous, but I just mean this is very dark hearts to conspire and do what they've done, right? Whether it was an accident or not, I believe Candace, Candy and Don know what's happened to Summer. Someone has taken her away, put her somewhere, moved her on to someone. I think there's probably so many places around, all these horse springs, mountain springs, all these crevices. This place is, it's kind of like Colorado, like that. It's just so wild out there, and the landscape is terrifying, and there's plenty of places to put someone, right? And Summer could have been moved. Anyone could have taken her on any trip, you know, Candy when she left. I mean, she was probably tailed. So I don't know. But, you know, anything's possible. This is what's so awful. Anything's possible. And it's horrible to think it could be a cold case just because of, you know, how twisty these grifters can be. You know, this is so natural to them, right? To create this mire and fog. So no wonder it's hard to unravel, and you need the data to unravel it. And that's the one thing that, you know, plebs, you know, that aren't law enforcement officers, we just don't have, right? We can guess. We can guess that it's significant, you know, where this last video was taken, I believe. You know, it's near Blair's Gap Road. This is a road that goes down to Jonesboro. It's near the Solomon Mission Baptist Temple. I think I might have said that the wrong way around, but where the law enforcement press releases were held, or conferences, you know. Is this significant? Because, I don't know, how much of that road down to Jonesboro was searched? Because that's where they need to be searching, if not on the way to Wisconsin, or if not further down the hollow, wherever Candace Bly went. This is such a mind warp, right? Yeah. But, you know, Don's still, he might think he's having people that listen to him, but he's still having a number done on him by these very untrustworthy people. You know, Cher is a convicted animal abuser. Cher, from Voices Behind the Wall, or Beyond the Wall, of Cher and Mr. Cher channel, that hosted this interview, and they're raising funds through it, I'm sure. Didn't stay long, but look at who are collecting around Don. These, whether they're apologists or, you know, these people that can make excuses for child abuse, for child sexual abuse, for things that Don has done. Just, it's sickening. You don't have to believe, you can believe that Candace, Candy and Don haven't had anything to do with Summer's disappearance, other than, of course, create this really unhealthy ecology, this unsafe environment where they have kept all sorts of degenerate monsters around their little children, right? So they haven't kept her safe, but you don't have to think that they have anything to do with Summer's disappearance to see what's plainly in front of you. It doesn't mean you have to support Don Wells and insofar as his deviancy, right? Why are you making excuses? What is wrong with you? What sort of person are you? You know, you're someone that society doesn't need because you make excuses for people. So this is how we get re-offending, okay? This is how, you know, rapists are let out of jail and they just rape again and maybe murder, you know? So I feel that important things are 3:30 and who was going where at 3:30. I think the FaceTiming is super important, right? Because I think it seems like people involved, and this is including Ellie, are using Facebook Messenger and Facebook telephoning to communicate, and they've probably wiped everything after that time, but it's on the cloud. Now, H is saying what a brilliant tech person he is. So has Candace been saying, what do we do? What do we do about removing our data? He's seen the way that he was getting confused. I think maybe when he's talking about text, is he really talking about Facebook Messenger and looking on the iCloud in the deletes? Yeah, so I think Ali probably knows. I think Hunter probably knows, and he was coached to try and save his own ass, maybe. I don't know. Ali, I just can't get over her expressions. She looked like she was going to have a stroke. At one point, I thought if she wasn't so fat and immobilized within the cage of her body, she would have flung herself across the table and would have strangled her very own son at one point in McDonald's interview on the porch. But instead, you know, her face said it all. I swear she said fuck. Then her own grandmother is really looking, and there was some serious shit going on. And when was this? This was when Hunter said, I had to FaceTime you because you didn't pick up the phone. And wow, what a performance by Ali. So she didn't drop dead, which is good because the police can go and interrogate her. I really think people need to be interrogated now in this case, because we're not talking about you, Don Wells, and your pain and your abused wife, Candace, and her pain. I mean, I don't doubt that there is a bottomless well of pain, but it's too many weeks now, and your little girl is gone. This little girl is gone, and she's out there, probably in the hills of East Tennessee, down a fissure or in some deep woods, you know. I mean, I also wonder, you know, but I think because of DNA, because of dogs being on the property, I think if Summer was attacked by the dogs, there should have been some suspicion around that when police are on the property and they have their working dogs on the property, because that would have been very fresh blood and whatever else is released during these fights, right? If that's what's happened. I don't put it past Summer to have been in danger from these dogs. There's no reason why these dogs wouldn't attack Summer, this little girl running around chaotically, and the dogs are hungry and they've got puppies to feed, and they act in a group and they just do what's natural. And there is so much precedence for this, okay? And wild dogs are actually more dangerous, I feel, than wildlife, or, you know, dogs that are semi-domesticated. These animals are much more dangerous. And I bet there will be statistics that show thousands of times more percentages of events happening, feral dog, wild dogs, etc., attacks on animals, on people, than there would be from bears, from coyotes, etc., right? Whatever the wild animals are around Don's neighbourhood, maybe not counting the drug dealers. And, you know, Don knows where the drug dealers are because he's buying drugs, because he's giving his wife money to stick around, keeping her happy with her drug money, right? So she's buying drugs from these neighbours. I mean, this is just the bottom line. Maybe Don is still selling drugs. Maybe that's what he's racketing out from the shed down on Beach Creek Road. People drive in and out through the shed. Perfect, right? You'd all know to go there. You'd all know to avoid there if you're the good people of Rogersville or Kingsport. And if you're someone else who wants to get high, blasted, buy gear to sell on, whatever it is, you'd know where to go. What a perfect little setup. Pull in through the shed and out again, right? And Don, I think, has been convicted for drug running, or he used to drug run. If Don was really sure that Summer was probably down in Mexico, who's he contacted in Mexico? Has he contacted any news agencies down there? That's what I would do. I wouldn't rely on law enforcement to do that. If I really thought, you know, this was possible, and it could be if she was abducted, I'd just be contacting people there. Look, can I give you a photograph of my beautiful little daughter? Can you please put an alert out there? Can you get this on the news? Can you help me? Could I do an interview with you? Now, I can tell you now, news channels, like newspapers, any news source, you know, they want news. They want sources, right? They want people ringing up, giving them stuff. It's one more thing that they don't have to find to make up a couple of minutes on TV, right? People all over would be happy to do it. If Don Wells rang up and said, my daughter's missing, I think she's been abducted. I come from the wilds of Tennessee, and can you help me find her? They would do it. Instead, all he does is complain about how he's hard done by, he's being manipulated, his words are being twisted, and how heartbroken he is. He always says he wants to talk about Summer, and then he never does, right? I wrote down, yeah, I wrote this down because it's what he always says, and it's just, it makes me sick every time he says it, when he's going, you know, and my heart sank. My heart sank. I just knew. You know, what sank? Where? Who sank? Where? His heart sank. You know, and Candace has got the things that she repeats as well. And then you could nearly see, well, did she disassociate? Has she been told the story of the flowers? But I don't know. I think she's a grifter like Don. I don't know. I can't work out. Did she Was there an accident? Who's covering for whom? I don't know. Isn't it awful to think that one little child was living in such a situation where you just can't make up your mind what might have happened to her based on the people closest to her, the people that should be keeping her safe, nurturing her. Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, I think everything matters from 3:30. I don't think there's anything to do with Summer getting home, getting out of the car and running around, unless, of course, the dogs ate her. The kids ran her over with the motorcycle. Candy Hara hit her with a knee brace. Candace pushed her over and she hit her head, you know, something like that. And the other option being that Don was there and Don did something, right? Because I can't make up my mind about what looks like the car in the back of that photo, because I'm not quite sure the timing on that photo. It's not a still from the video, so it feels like it could have been taken at home at about 3:15. So if Don's already there. So did he leave again and then something happened and then Candace go out and drop Summer somewhere or meet Don again? Because I feel like there's journeys just going all over the place. This is why I think Don is exaggerating how far away he was, because he wants to make it seem impossible for him to do all these different journeys, of course, because that's what he might have done. So he makes up the story that he's further away, but it only took 30 minutes because he drove that fast. Great. Maybe there will be reports of him speeding or something like that, right? Because there are a few, you have to go through Falls Branch and things like that. There's petrol stations, you know, roadhouses and everything on the way. I don't know. He says he nearly lost it going around a corner. At least he didn't have Josie in the car with him this time, because apparently now this is bollocks that the kids were with Don. I mean, see, this is the... Don't you just see what professionals, yeah, what professionals the Wells Hara family are with the gibberish, with them, you know, clear as mud. So why was it as clear as mud from day one? Yeah, because they want it to be. It's by design. It's by design, you know. Anyway, I've gabbled on long enough. I've said a few swear words. Very sorry for that. But it's kind of good if I do, because what's happened now to people that... I don't call myself a creator. I'm obviously not. I'm a viewer who uploads videos. But what YouTube can do to people like me, even though we don't choose to, is they can put ads on your video anyway. I think maybe at the start or something like that. I mean, if you ever see that, that was never me. So for me to not censor myself for the sake of sensitive ears, I mean, I know it's crass, but I think you should be able to say the word sexual abuse if that's what you're talking about, okay? But I do respect on other channels I won't write things out or change letters, or I will use abbreviations. On my channel I don't, and I will swear sometimes too, although I am trying to cut that down. I swear because I don't like it. And blasphemy particularly churns my stomach, you know, when people throw away the odd JC and things like that. I actually really... that really unsettles me, and I used to say that quite a bit throughout periods of my life, but often not. And that was through repeating, you know, that was because other people said it and I would say it, but I don't like that. So I'm trying to cut down, but what I'm saying, it's not going to disappear. I think it helps me because pesky ads and things, no one's going to want to pop up during my content, are they? That is the truth. So what are we saying here? Well, I'm saying I'm still very interested in themes that connect these crimes too. And I'm not saying it's because people are purposeful and awake with it, but I think there is a collective consciousness element to it. But definitely, you know, there's the theme here. I really think things are coming to a head, and summer, it's why I kind of think summer's going to be a cold case. Even though it could be just solved like this, right? Honest to Murgatroyd. I mean, Don is not going to confess. Well, he likes to confess a lot of stuff. He likes to talk and get things off his chest. But I don't think he can go to prison again, and he probably would go and crash his car. I don't know how he would kill himself, probably with his gun. Candace might as well. She is a big risk for suicide as well. So I don't know. I don't know if they could break them like that, but it's still possible, and it's possible that any one of them could talk, or someone else that knows will talk. But I kind of think, I hope not, but there's a chance it'll be a cold case, and that, you know, with this darkness in the collective consciousness, it's important that there's cases that aren't solved as much as there are, those that have arrests and things. And, you know, I've got the crucible here, right, because, I mean, there's a case, the Delphi murders, and you've got Abigail Williams, right, Abigail Williams, and, you know, and witchcraft uses puppets or dolls, you know. It's what some people might look at as voodoo dolls and things. And no, they're not always used for dark, and they're not always used to hex. They're sometimes used for healing and things like this. Okay, don't mistake everything I say. But, you know, puppets, right? And there's Hunter, he's sitting there with his puppet. And I know, I know to people that that could be just a psychotic train of thought. And yes, I'm very used to having those. So I get it. And the thing to note, though, is that it's not important that it's not a doll. Okay, do you see? It's, the meaning's still there. And it's little things, you know, right? Okay, so I'll just, I might get cut off, but I'll see.